Welcome, everyone, to Coaching in Session. My name is Micah Raridan, and I'll be your mindset coach this evening. So, today we have a special treat. We're going to be talking about a workshop, and the workshop is going to be pertaining to what is really impossible in our life. And when I was writing the topic for today's video, I was thinking, what are some things that are impossible? And the only thing that I could think of things that were impossible dealt with other people's views. Like it may be impossible to make someone who is let's say, Democrat who dislikes firearms, like firearms, or it might be impossible to tell them that the vaccine is fake or it doesn't help. That might be impossible too. So I was starting to think of things like that. But then I was unconcerned with what people think. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what someone thinks. It's about what you think. What should you accomplish in your life? What should you do with your life? How should you feel in your life? And that's where people struggle. People are afraid to fail. They're afraid to make their own choices, so they allow someone else to make them. Mainstream media is a perfect example. Get the shot or wear a mask, right? Or get a shot or lose your job. Or another favorite is flatten the curve, stay inside, right? Where we're being limited in some regards. And of course, there could be arguments saying, oh, I'm not limited. I'm just living my life the way I'm living it. Okay, it's nothing wrong with you having your opinion. But at the end of the day, if someone is feeling limited, if they're being coerced or corralled into a corner, what is the outcome? Well, the outcome is they're going to look at the ideals they were given and they're going to create their own. And that's what I did. Regardless of what was going on in my life, my environment, my career, I always chose what was going to be my best life, right? What would benefit me in the end. And it's difficult because you want to, in a sense, be accepted. You want people to like you. It's natural, right? Especially in our later development years, in our teenage years, where peer pressure is so crucial to our development. We need to be able to fit in with people. If we don't, we're bullied. And that's where a lot of the ideas of young students in middle school and high school decide not to go on with life anymore. They say, this is too much for me. This is crazy. People don't like me and I just don't fit in. I'll never fit in. And they start to believe their words, that they can't fit in, that they won't fit in. And all the negative words and behaviors that was directed toward them is now ruminating in their minds. And that can carry on to your adulthood too. And now you're thinking in the same mannerism. And not much will change if you don't change your mindset. And what I do as a life coach is I help people adjust their mindset in order to get to the life they want to. And it doesn't matter if you agree with what I teach, what I preach, what I believe, because at the end of the day, it is your beliefs and your way of living. Okay? I might be a dog person and you might be a cat person, and I'm going to say you should get a dog because dogs are better, right? But who am I to decide that dogs are better for you? So my goal is never to say that you need to get a dog because cats are subpar or inferior to dogs. That's an argument. That's an opinion. What I ask is, I would ask if you wanted to have a pet, if you wanted to have a companion, a relationship. How would you want that relationship to be? And then we talk about it. And then we come to a conclusion. What makes sense for you? Does having a dog make sense? Does having a cat make sense? Does having a partner who dislikes the same music as you make sense? It's all needed to be talked about. So when we're getting into the idea of what is really impossible in our life, the answer is whatever you decide is impossible. Because we can always get into the conversation, oh, it's never been done before. Oh, science proves that it can't be done. Okay. I understand the science. I understand the concept that it's very challenging in order to do something. But if you're going to be put in a box with everyone else in the world, how will new inventions be created? How would people grow? How would society change for the better? Did the Wright brothers listen to their critics and say, oh, we would never be able to fly, and decide not to build an airplane? Did Roger Bannister say, okay, it's impossible to run the 4-minute mile, so I'm just going to not even attempt it? Okay. Would it be impossible still to go to the moon? No, because we have done it. But if we look back 50 years ago, maybe even less, people were still in denial about going to different planets, reaching the moon, going to Mars. And now it's only a step away. We have billionaires going into space because they can. It's only a matter of time before it just becomes regular, where going to the moon is just a weekend trip. How cool would that be? And at one time it was impossible. So it's not so much about being impossible forever. It's about being impossible for a certain period of time until there's some crazy person, the MF word I wanted to say, that defies all the odds, that defies what other people say. They say, I'm going to create my own future. And it's not going to be dependent on what you believe. It's going to be dependent on what I know I can achieve. And that's mindset. Because if you're going to have a mindset that is focused and primed for success and for achievement, there's only one thing that's going to happen. Success, you're going to have success and you're going to have achievements in your life. And how grand you want those achievements to be, that's going to be up to you. But certain achievements require more work. How much are you willing to put into work? How much work are you willing to do? Are you willing to sacrifice a comfortable life right now in order to achieve this goal? I wish I can say that everyone was willing to sacrifice comfort now, but that's not the case. Everyone needs their vacations, spa days. They need luxuries, like luxury clothes, new shoes, instant gratification. And then almost a sense of entitlement, especially here in the Western society, Western culture. So when we're so focused on me, now, when something becomes very difficult, when something becomes a challenge, well, it's not worth it. No, it's not possible to do that. I can't do that. Are you crazy? Because the amount of work is required. People know. People don't want to work hard. The human brain actually is wired to not work hard. The human brain wants to emit the least amount of energy possible. And it's a survival technique. Well, why is that a survival technique? For me to be lazy? And it goes back to fight or flight, right? If your body or yourself is in danger, your body gets a rush of energy, adrenaline, and you can lift cars, you can scale walls you never thought you could do in your life. But you do it easily. You do it without even knowing you're doing it. Because you're telling the brain, we got to do this if we want to live. And the brain is like, okay. Nothing is in your way. Nothing is stopping you. There's no obstacle. There's no person saying it's impossible. There's no idea or whisper in your mind saying, you can't do that. It's only, it needs to be done or I'm going to cease to live. And the brain, the body, has evolved to survive. And that's why I'm a huge advocate of the human immune system. We have gone through some stuff in our life. Diseases, sicknesses, viruses. And the human body adapts. Why do you think that is? Because the human body needs to adapt. Because if it doesn't, it dies. And the species who fails to adapt dies. So we are able to adapt to any situation. Why is it impossible that we can't do something? Why is it possible we can't achieve something? Because our body can do it. The only problem with our body doing it is our mind. Our mind is going to limit us. It's going to put safety features saying, hey, we don't want you to run 100% and get tired, because what happens if something is going to come try to get you? A lion is going to jump out of the bush. A saber-toothed tiger is going to jump out of the bush and eat you. And if you're too tired, guess what? You can't run away. So your brain actually limits you to a certain extent. And the number is around 40%. So that means your brain is going to allow you to think at 40%, you are at full capacity. That's interesting, because if I'm only at 40%, that means I have 60 more percent left in the tank. I got 60% more energy and more focus and more drive to apply to whatever I'm doing. But people fail to tap into that 60%. And that's going to be your full potential, reaching your heightened sense. So in order to get there, it requires some mind work. And that mind work can be done alone. It can be done with a life coach. A therapist usually deals with trauma, but I'm sure a therapist who has gone through the journey of tapping into a higher potential would be able to do that themselves. Therapists are really good at identifying your weaknesses and your downfalls and saying, well, why do you think that way? Or why do you do this? And that's important too. But what I find is it wakes you up, but it doesn't get you out of bed. So if a therapist can wake you up but not get you out of bed, who gets you out of bed? Number one, you. And then if you have a life coach or a mentor, that's going to be them saying, hey, get up, buddy. It's time to go. When a person joins the military, drill sergeant wakes everyone up saying, come on, ladies, get up, rise and shine. We got a busy day ahead. And they do. It's killer. Their mind and their body is challenged constantly throughout the whole day. And all they want at the end of the day is some sleep. And it's interesting because the next day they do it again. And they do it again. And eventually, it becomes second nature. It becomes simple, easy. I got to run 5 miles in the morning? Not a problem, drill sergeant. I can do that. Now, do you like it? That's another story. You don't have to like what people want you to do. It's simply talking, can you do it? And I know if I ask a good majority of Americans here, can you run 5 miles without stopping? Some will say yes. And I say, all right, let's go to the track. Let's go on the treadmill. Let's see if you can make it. And the stop button is right there on that treadmill. And the only thing you have to do is press it. And you have a peaceful life. And you can walk out the gym doors and you can walk in defeat, or you can walk in a sense of, man, I'm out of shape. But that sense of I'm out of shape doesn't drive yourself to get into shape. So what drives you to get into shape? What drives you to push to be more than what you are right now? And it is difficult to do that yourself. I find that if you have someone pushing you, you're going to push yourself harder. That's why if you see people in the gym, they go in pairs, right? There's a story about Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was becoming Mr. Olympian or whatever. He was trying out for Mr. Olympian. And he was talking about how he had his working partners, right? His workout partners. And of course, some days he would go to the gym and he would not feel like wanting to work out. He would say, I don't really feel like it. But then he had his accountability partner, his workout partner, saying, hey, we're going to push right now. We're going to get past this little laziness hump you got going. And we're going to do exactly what we need to do today. And it was vice versa, because some days his partner was lazy and he wasn't. But they had two people holding each other accountable. So my question is, who's holding you accountable? Because you can have a partner and they can hold you accountable for certain things. But in my experience, partners do that to a certain extent. Because in our current realm of relationships, people understand the struggle. So if someone's in a relationship with you, they're going to see you struggling and they're going to say, oh, he's tired. Oh, you need a rest. You've been working so hard. No. I don't want someone who is in a relationship with me telling me that I'm working too hard, that I'm tired, that I'm struggling. I don't need that. I need that person to be a support for me. No matter what I do, no matter how crazy it is, no matter how insane it might seem, they need to be right there. They got to have my back. And the only thing I want them to say to me is, you got this. Anything else, they can shove it in the garbage. I don't want to hear it. And they know it. So if you have someone like that, cool, right? You have someone saying, push, right? You're not done yet. Get up. One more, two more, five more, 10 more. Don't stop. It's not time to stop. But we have been coddled, we have been cared for, and we have such an easy life right now where people fail to understand my life is not supposed to be easy. I should be going through some trouble, some tribulation, and something that's going to help me grow. And people have become stagnant. People have stopped growing. They take what life gives them and they say, well, this is what life gave me. I'm going to make the best of it. And that's why we have 1% of people who have all this wealth, who are making all this money. And then we have people who are struggling to get by and pay their rent and their mortgage. It's not by accident. The system was not created for you to succeed. The system was not created for you to flourish. So if you understand that the system is there to go against your dreams, why not go against the system? Why not challenge yourself to be more than what the system set you out to be? A regular person in society might cut it for someone who wants a complacent lifestyle, but someone who wants more, those are the people I work with. Those are the people I help get past all of their troubles, all of their obstacles, and I help them see a new vantage point. And from that new vantage point, they see all the new possibilities that are laid out in front of them. And I want you to get there too. I want you to understand that you have so much more to give than you're giving right now. And if you are having a hard time giving more than what you're giving right now, then it's time for you to get to that level where you're thinking about your future. Because when you start thinking about your future, you start to think about what you're able to do, what you should be doing. And if you're lost and you're confused, then you need to figure out the steps needed to be done in order to find the right path. And I understand that money is an issue. I understand that time is an issue. It could be a constraint. But people don't have a problem paying all this money to go to college, getting in debt, buying a house or buying a car, getting in debt. But when it comes to your own self and personal growth, that's on the back burner. And that is something that was ignored in our development. Our self-worth, our self-purpose. What can we accomplish? What can we do? So if you're at that point where you don't know how valuable you are, you don't understand that you have something else to do in the world besides being on a smartphone, sitting on a sofa, sitting in a cubicle or behind a computer screen, working for someone else. Start to think, is this the life that was meant for you? And at the end of the day, it should be no. And if not, that means you're just not ready yet. Or you're just not willing to put in the work. And if you're not willing to put in the work, that is fine. Not everyone goes to the gym. Not everyone ignores McDonald's and Burger King and Church's Chicken and Popeyes and Chick-fil-A on the way home. They say, oh, I need some chicken tendies. Let me go grab some. Oh, I need a hamburger, a Happy Meal. Let me go get some. I had such a stressful day. I need to eat this whole cake. Let me go get one. We're drowning our sorrows with things that put us in a deeper hole. When we destroy our body, we destroy our mind in a sense, because it becomes more difficult for us to produce the energy and the focus needed for us to get to the next level. And that's what this workshop is today. We're going to be talking about the concept behind my company, the concept behind what I do and what needs to be done. So let's get into it. So the concept behind never is simply stating that nothing is impossible. And if we look at never, it is really Reven, Reven. So we're turning never around in the sense never doesn't have to be impossible. We can make impossible possible. We can make never Reven. We can make never now. So what I aim to do in the podcast and my business is to help people become more fortified in their minds, to become more focused on achieving higher heights in their life, for them to not allow themselves to become complacent, to not allow themselves to lose focus on what truly matters in their life. How many people do you know achieve something and then let it all slide away? Whether it be career, relationship, fitness. I have seen it too much to count. It happens far too often in our society, in our life, in our world. And we need to be more mentally fortified to achieve and not allow our success to fall to the wayside after we have done those wonderful things. So if we look here, we have a graph, and you can agree that right now a lot of people's mindsets are not in the best place. So 11 years ago, 2010, people were more inclined to do things, more inclined to go out, hike, become better, look for promotions, etc., etc. They were more driven. They were more hungry. And then in 2010, the correlation of coaches, life coaches, mentors, working with these set of individuals to achieve great success. And they did. But let's fast forward to 2020, 10 years after the fact. We have less people now trying to become better. People have become more complacent, more docile, and more afraid to go after more in their life. They take what they get and they don't ask questions. But then there's a correlation for the people who say, I don't want this life, because they are noticing that they are falling down and not rising up. So they seek help from a therapist, a mentor, a coach. And I have the hardest time understanding why people are so afraid to ask someone for help. And I understand that it could be difficult to show weakness. It could be difficult to show someone you're having a hard time. But what is more difficult than you losing the life that you can attain? You losing a life that can create abundance and wealth and prosperity for you and your family. I think that's more scary than asking someone for some help. So the best solution I have found is to ask someone for help, to ask someone to create a plan for you, to say, hey, this needs to be done. Because what I do with my clients, what I see most often is that people have an idea or a sense of where they want to be in their life, but they're too afraid to go after it. They need someone to tell them the hard truth of what needs to be happening. And even my mentors, slapped me in the, in the head, in the back of the head, and said, "Hey, dummy, this needs to be done." And even though I kind of knew deep down what needed to be done, I was afraid to do the work. And it took a mentor to get me out of it. It took me someone else besides me, besides a relationship, besides family, to say, you got more work to do. And I had to put some skin in the game. I had to invest in myself in order to achieve and get to where I wanted to be. So a little bit about me. Grew up Bridgeport, Connecticut, the ghetto. But I was able to accomplish great things. I was able to finish college. I was able to get a master's degree in education. I was a teacher, a coach, tutor, all of these wonderful things. And now in my coaching career, motivational speaker, helping people become more focused in their life, more positive, and helping people get out of being stuck, get away from all the obstacles they've created for themselves and the challenges that they somehow need to have in their life. So the timeline for me was very quick. Once I graduated, I started to see a trend. So graduated with my master's, and then I was doing a great job teaching because I was meant to teach. I was meant to help people grow, educate. So I was nominated for the Teacher of the Year. And it's not so much if I won or not. I did not. But to be looked at as someone who should be nominated, that was another wake-up call for me. So I said, interesting. So continued teaching until I started my own business in 2018. And a year later, the business has grown more than I could have imagined. And it continues to grow every single day. Something I'm proud of course, but something I'm not going to say was the reason for my own actions alone. I had coaches, mentors, family members, friends, all cheering me on. And that gave me the fuel and the motivation to want to get to the higher heights, to get to better, to reach success. So, similar to how my mentor and my coaches have helped me, I want to do the same for you. And I understand it can be difficult to put faith in someone, maybe someone you don't even know in your life. You might have never met them, and now you have to give them a substantial amount of money. And you don't know what type of service you're going to get. I understand that. But similar to going to a barbershop for the first time, they might do a good job, they might do a bad job, but at the end of the day, you pay them for the service, unless it's terrible. And that typically doesn't happen quite often in barbershops. It's similar to your sessions in coaching. Because when you're working with a coach, you're going to be working on yourself too. The coach is there to guide you. A coach can't force you to go to the gym. A coach can't force you to put in job applications or to do the work needed. A coach is there to say, hey, I see that you're not doing this. What's going on? Tell me what's going on. And we hear your excuse, and then we tell you it's not a valid excuse. Maybe it is, but very rare. I understand work is busy. I understand you might not be in the easiest family, easiest relationship, the easiest moment in your life. I understand that. But are you willing to get out of that moment, that uncertainty? It requires work. And it requires you to know that work is done by you. And not to be afraid to invest in yourself, not to be afraid for your personal growth. Because you're not afraid to buy the latest iPhone. You're not afraid to buy the latest technology or a subscription to Netflix or HBO Max or Hulu or all three. You're not afraid. But when it comes to your success, you're afraid to try. You're afraid to succeed. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself towards success, because when you reach that success, you can buy 100 iPhones. You can have the top tier Netflix. Doesn't matter. So what I do is I have a different plan than other life coaches. I work on a monthly subscription type of coaching, and I do offer one sessions to people who are just needing a boost and things like that. But for people who want tremendous growth, I recommend them to go the monthly membership route. And it's actually cheaper to do that than it is to do just a one session. And the reason is because I want you to grow. I want you to understand that you can get the life you're reaching. You can go after all the things you want without feeling that you're putting yourself in a hole with a life coaching bill that may be too steep for you. And I can assure you, my prices are fair. My prices are affordable. And the results are you reaching the goals you want. So the step one, we create a plan and we go after it. 3 months later, we reassess, looking where you are. Now, I haven't had a client in 3 months not achieve greater heights. It's only natural that they're going to, in 3 months, grow from where they were. It's only natural. But then the next 3 months, that's when the most growth happens and the most amount of work is needed. And people struggle there because there's so much work. There's so much time, so much effort that needs to be put in this timeline. This is where people struggle the most. So if you're looking just to get to good, if you're looking just to reach a new height, 3 months is typically what you need. But I use a approach where you are in charge. You are the person who wants to do something, because if I'm forcing you to do something, as soon as I'm not forcing you to do it, guess what happens? You don't do it. So we start off in your current self, and then we move on to the new version of yourself. And the new version of yourself might want to get to the best version of yourself. And if you get to that point, then that's where you're going to be in the top 1%. But many people are very satisfied with just the new version of themselves. They're like, I look great. They look in the mirror. I look hot. I look sexy. Oh, man. But sometimes that's not enough. And that's why very few are 1% go to the best version of themselves. And I encourage people who are going through the program to always go to the best version of themselves. Now, it is nice to get to the new version, but the best version, it says something about you. So our goal is to level up. We want to get better every single day. And how I do that is by small victories. Every day you should have a goal, a mission, a task that's going to help you reach your new heights. And if you can get to those new heights and level up each day and say you have completed all your daily to-dos, then success is on the other side. Success is going to be waiting for you at the top. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So if you are interested into starting a monthly membership, head over to revenconcepts.com, head over to membership, and then pick the monthly membership plan that you want to have. We have our basic, our intermediate, and our master. All mean that you're going to have a different amount of live sessions with me, whether it be phone calls, virtual. It is your preference at the end of the day, but what you want is to find a coaching program where you feel comfortable, so you're not overwhelmed and you're not paying your rent money or your food money to live, to get ahead. But this is an investment in yourself, and I encourage people to invest in themselves. And I have all their content for you to check and to reach out to me. If you have any questions, always email me, michael@revenconcepts.com. So at that workshop, we see there's a lot going on. There is a lot of potential that is on the table, and that potential is you. You have so much more to give at any given time. And when you think you're tapped out, you're not even close. And that's where people fail, to realize that they have so much more in the tank. So how do we get there, right? What are some steps? What are some methods that we can utilize to get to that point? And I understand that life coaching get you there, but this next 10 minutes, 15 minutes is going to be for the people who are not able to get a coach. Maybe you're in a region where your internet's spotty. Maybe you are not able to get a coach because of financial reasons, or you don't want a coach because you just don't want to put in the work. You want to go at your own pace. That's fine. So the steps needed to be taken are: 1, identify what is the problem. In your life right now, you have a problem. If you're not where you are, you have a problem. Identify that problem. Whether you're not working hard enough, whether you're looking at the wrong avenues, you're in the wrong career, the wrong focus, the list can go on. But to identify what is wrong. Now, after you identify what is wrong, the second step is to create a plan. Not create a plan to fix what is wrong, because if something is wrong, you don't need to fix it. Just get rid of it. Now, if you don't know anything about business and you're having a business problem, then I would recommend getting a business coach. That is only obvious. Don't fail because you failed to take initiative. Now, if your problem is that you're lazy, get up. Create a plan that says, I'm going to get up. I'm going to move. And it doesn't even have to be exercise, does it? It could be, I'm going to go out and volunteer. I'm going to get my grocery shopping done in the morning. I'm going to cook my meal before work, so I don't have to stop at McDonald's or Burger King or wherever when I'm coming home, because I have already breakfast, already had lunch, and I have dinner waiting for me at the house because I did that. And when you have things waiting for you, you're going to be less inclined to say, Well, I'm going to go out and get a burger. For my men who have stay-at-home wives, would you dare to go to a fast food place before you went home and had dinner with your family? Most, no. Most wouldn't. And it's not even a money thing. It's not even, well, I'm eating at home to save money. You're eating at home to be more healthy, to be more conscious. And if you're a family person, you're eating at home to share moments with your family, to grow with them. And for me growing up, we ate together sometimes, but it was always kind of, all right, here's your food, go eat. And I was, and sometimes I wonder, what would have been if every night we sat at the dinner table and we ate and we talked. We shared what was going on in our life. How far ahead would I have been in my life? I find that interesting because people who are able to communicate with their families are able to have an outside view, to have another pair of ears on the problem. And it's not so much to belittle your problems. And I know some parents do that. They say, don't worry about Becky. You know, she's just going through a hard time. Okay, that might not be what the kid wants to hear. They might really want some sound advice. So how do you give advice to someone who's going through something very difficult? That takes practice. I can't simply say, oh, you say this and that, everything's going to be fine. Because depending on the person, some people need to be knocked down and some people need to be lifted up. So depending on the personality of the person, you have to kind of choose your words. Now, for me, I'm a person that needs to be knocked down. If I did something wrong or if I'm weak in an area, tell me the hard truth. Tell me what needs to be done. And I'm going to be depressed for exactly one day or one night. And in the next day, the next morning after I sleep and I have a full tank of energy, you better believe that I'm going after everything that I'm weak at, everything that I need in order to grow. That's the type of person I am. But if you have someone who maybe sees that as a challenge that they can't achieve, as a weight that they can't lift, it might not be the best method. For that, you're going to want to just ask questions. Well, how does Becky see you? How do you feel about Becky? And then answering the responses to really understand what this person is going through. Instead of telling them what they should or what they need to do, you're identifying their true intentions for the relationship. Well, do you still want to be friends with Becky, or do you want to find a friend that's not going to give you a hard time? And it's very easy for parents to say, I don't like that kid, don't hang out with him. I heard that a lot growing up. And my parents were correct for probably 90% of the people they told me not to hang out with. But when you're young, when you say no, don't do something, guess what they want to do? They want to do the opposite. And there's a sense of denial. No, you don't know this person. You don't know them. They're good people. You defend them. They're your friends. Peer pressure. Peer development. This sense of belonging, of being in a community. Of liked, not bullied. So you defend your friends. Very rough time for parents. And I'm working on some content for parents who may be going through something like that. Just from my experience as being young and seeing my parents, and then being a teacher and seeing the parents in the schools and seeing the parents who were successful with their children, the parents who had successful children in the school system, children who were able to get good grades, great behavior. It says something about the parent. So I compiled over the years of teaching and educating and coaching what makes a good parent. Well, what makes a kid want to listen to the parent? It's interesting. And the content that will come out will surprise you, because it's a new idea that no one has rarely brought forth. The idea of being a parent and being a friend is what's happening right now. Oh, I could be my kid's friend. I could do this with my kid. And, oh, I remember when I was young and I didn't do this, so I'm going to get my kid this. That's the world we're living in. Parents are fighting for the kids and not letting the kids fight their own battles. Parents are giving them, their kids, everything that they didn't have in their life. So now the kids are having it in their life, but now they're spoiled. Now they're entitled. It's interesting. But what's more interesting is, since you didn't have it when you were growing up, you didn't want your kids to have it or not have it growing up. It's not the other way around. I suffer, so my kids should suffer. It's not that. So if it's not that, then why aren't people going after more in their life? Why are people choosing not to go after more in their life? I find that very interesting, because if people were under that same mindset of, I struggled, my kid is not going to struggle. Well, what did the struggle do for you? Did the struggle make you weaker? Did it make you a bad person? Or did it make you stronger? And typically, challenges and struggles make you stronger. So if you take that away from a child, from someone who's growing, and now they have no struggles and no challenges, how are they going to grow to be resilient in this world? They don't. They can't. They listen like a good boy or girl to whatever a grown-up tells them, and they abide by that. They abide by someone else's belief but their own. And that is not going to be allowed. Not while I'm here. I had teachers, I had coaches tell someone that they wouldn't allot to be anything, that they can't do it, that they were limited, that they weren't ready. And the moment I had them in my classroom or them in my care, I said, all right, we're going to reverse everything that you learned that doesn't serve you anymore. We're going to make you stronger. We're going to make you more positive. We're going to make you believe in yourself. And that is the premise of the company. To go against the ideas and the ideals that you were taught growing up and that you were influenced to believe in your adult life. Because if you're going to keep allowing mediocrity to take over your life and keep allowing people to dictate what you can and can't do, where is life? Where is your growth? I want you to be able to decide that for yourself. I want you to be able to decide what you want for your life. Not what someone else says you can or can't do, but what you want. And what you want, you might not be equipped to get it quite yet. What you want might be something you are unfamiliar with attaining. And to that, I say to do the work, to find someone who has accomplished the work you would like to accomplish. And if no one has accomplished that work, surround yourself with people who are accomplishing things that have never been done in their life before. And you watch each person succeed. If someone fails, watch them get up. And if someone doesn't want to get up, you tell them to get up. And if they choose not to get up, that person is no longer in your circle. We cannot be concerned by people who are not going to bring forth greatness in ourselves, in themselves. People who allow to be complacent, people who do not push themselves when they need to be pushed, or do not allow to be pushed when they are struggling, being strong, are people who should be left to the wayside. And I know it sounds bad. I know it sounds wrong to just leave people on their own accord. But if someone's unwilling to help themselves, how are you able to help them? And I'm going to give you this example, and I'm going to let you go. Let's say you're in a relationship with someone, and this someone is a chronic drug user. And every night they take their drugs and they're just destroying their life. And you see it. They're getting weaker. They're leaving all the content around on the tables, on the counters, and you see it. And you're surrounded by that. And you tell this person that they need to get their act together, that you're not going to be living in a house with someone who's going to be doing this to themselves and to the family. So you give them an ultimatum. Either you get your act together or I'm walking. Is that wrong? Yes or no? And if you say, yes, it's wrong, I should stay by them, even if they're dragging me down into a pit of nothingness, that's your belief. But if you believe that someone is unwilling to help themselves, even if you're there saying, hey, I want to help you, but you're not helping yourself, why not leave? A person doesn't change because you ask them to change. A person changes because of a trauma that typically happens in their life. And as much as I hate to say, trauma is the number one reason why people change. I don't want people to have to suffer a death or a challenge or a devastation in order to bring about new habits. I want people to realize that for themselves. I want people to say, I am going to change because I know it's going to be better for me and my family. I'm making that choice before anything happens. But the alcoholic needs a stroke. The drug dealer needs to have an overdose. The cheater needs to be caught in order to wake up. And it's sad that people need to be woken up and they can't see their life for what it is and what it's pertaining to. So take a look at your life today. Is it where you want it to be? Is it going in the direction you would like for it to go? And if not, see if you can change the course of it. And you can always head over to revenconcepts.com/resources. Watch some videos, watch some old Coachinginsession videos, motivational videos, read some of the blogs, and you'll notice there's plenty of free content for you to start to make the right choices. If you have any questions for the podcast, head over to your email account and email me at coachinginsession@gmail.com. Right on top of the screen, right here. And you can always send me an email if you're going through anything difficult, if you just need some quick advice. I've had people just say, hey, I'm going through this. What do you recommend? And I'll give them some quick advice. Didn't cost them anything. Don't be afraid to ask for help, people. And if you're concerned, if you're a friend, if you're a family member that I'm going to know who you are, make an email account that I will not know who you are. Say you are Big Daddy Kane on 1997, right? That username is probably already taken, but you can use that account to ask your question. But you shouldn't be embarrassed by asking someone for help, asking someone for advice, asking someone how to get to the next level. Even myself, I look at my mentors, people who are in the top 1%, and I'm not afraid to ask them for advice, for help, for guidance. I'm not afraid to invest in myself and to hire a coach, a relationship coach, and on areas where I need growth for myself. I'm not afraid to ask because I understand what I gain from it is more than what the cost is. So don't be afraid of the cost. Don't be afraid of investing in yourself. Don't be afraid of succeeding. Be more afraid of not trying and to have a life full of regrets because you were too afraid to even put in the effort. I will see everyone on Friday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Sharp. Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? But we are going to be starting our month of October on Friday. So we're going to be getting into our health and our wellness type of conversation for the month. So we were talking about relationships at the beginning of this month, went more into mindset toward the end, but relationships are kind of quick and easy. But getting into health and fitness, that's going to have some juicy stuff. So stay tuned for interviews, stay tuned for workshops on fitness. If you are in a place where you want to see growth in your body, in your mind, this is the place to be. Coaching in session, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time this Friday. Be there or be square. Until then, friends.